Well, welcome back, everybody. It's been a little bit of time since we had our last episode, but between life getting in the way and weather not really cooperating, haven't had a lot of time to work down in the shop. But I'll show you kind of where we're at here. So, got the Alice moved over here in the corner, still torn apart. I haven't gone any farther on the engine, but I did get a package in the mail. Got a replacement gear. Replace that one. You guys can see a lot better teeth on it there. So there's still a little wear on this gear, but much better than what I have. So thank you, Matthew, for that replacement gear. That's going to work out really nice. So right now, I think we're going to hold off working on the Alice anymore. Weather's still not great outside to do much in the way of parts cleaning. And I really don't want to disassemble this engine much farther if I don't have a good place to clean parts and put them until I get kind of the shop cleaned up a little bit as well. So I think we're going to hold off till the weather gets a little nicer and we can do some parts cleaning. In the meantime, I think we're going to turn our attention to the Fordson here. So I have had this tractor running. The problem is the gas tank is packed full of rust. It's real bad, both the starting tank and the gas tank. So I guess we can kind of dive into this one, work on it a little bit in the meantime, and fix a few things on it so we can get it running. The main reason I want to get it running is these are a worm drive rear end. So this tractor is really hard to roll around. It actually doesn't really roll around all that well. So the best way to move it is just to have it running. So if I can get it running reliably, it'd be a lot handier to move around. So let's jump in on it here. So to work on the gas tank, we'll pop it off, try and get it cleaned out. Probably won't do that this evening here. But while I did have it running for a short little while, the clutch is sticking. You can kind of jam it in high gear, and then once you push the clutch in, kind of use it to slow down, and after that the clutch will work. But when you first start it up, it doesn't want to disengage from the flywheel. It's a pretty common problem. When we get into it, we can kind of show the fingers wear into the clutch housing a little bit there, and they don't want to disengage. So we're going to work on stripping this down, get it ready to split. I also have a different set of front wheels. This is on cut-off rubber, and I'm going to put it back on steel wheels. So that's another thing we can kind of work on. This tractor, I'm not really fully sure what it is. Somebody's made it look like an F Fordson, but the engine I'm pretty sure is an N Fordson. It's got a magneto on the other side, which I'll show here in a little bit. Everything just kind of looks like an N Fordson there, but it's got an F Fordson front radiator housing. The dash on it's off an F Fordson, so the back fenders have been cut down. There's no toolbox on the back of them anymore, so it's kind of just a mismatched conglomeration, but I've been wanting a Fordson for a little while, and this is the one I got, so we're going to make the best of it and enjoy having fun with it here. So let's get into popping the tank off. So we'll start by pulling the steering wheel here. That'll give us enough room to lift the tank up. Next, we're going to take the nuts off the rear strap. I've got this one loose here. Get that strap out of the way. And we'll put the nuts back on so they don't grow legs and walk away. Alright, the lighting's not real great in here, but next we're going to take the fuel line loose. Got the aftermarket sediment bowl back here, just a regular tractor type sediment bowl, nothing special about it. And then up here at the carburetor, just a regular flared nut connection. So get that line out of the way. All right, and then lastly, we'll take these front nuts loose on the strap for the front of the tank here. Now this strap runs underneath the tank and kind of holds it up into the radiator housing, so support it a little bit and that'll help out. There's that one. Now, my plans for this tractor are to eventually paint it up as well. I've seen some really nice Fordsons that kind of have that original patina look. And usually I can go either way kind of on tractors, but I think with all the lines and different things, the curves of this tractor, I think it just looked really good painted. I've kind of wanted to paint a Fordson for a while, so I think just like the Alice, we're probably going to end up painting this one as well. So now that we've got that front strap loose, we should be able to just lift the tank out and off and get it out of the way. So that frees up quite a bit of room now to work in here. We're going to have to take the air washer assembly off, some of these linkages to get it ready to split. As you can see, this is kind of what I was talking about. This N style magneto here leads me to believe this is an N engine that was put in this tractor. I think this is probably just made from a bunch of parts somebody had lying around. Maybe the engine went bad in their F tractor and so they used the N engine, but the transmission has the dipstick like an N too. So I don't know, maybe somebody just put a bunch of F sheet metal and radiator and gas tank and dash on an N tractor to get the Dearborn logos. So there's a lot of welding and brazing on a lot of these parts. The carburetor's got some welding done to it, air washer top assembly. The gas tank's been leaded who knows how many times. I'm sure it's just full of pinholes, so got to plan get a plan of attack for fixing that. I'm sure we'll have a whole video dedicated maybe to that here sometime in the near future. So let's keep working on getting this disassembled and getting it close to being able to split. Alright, there's 2 bolts in the back holding the air washer assembly on. We'll go ahead and pop those out and see if we can get it out of the way. Got those loose. There's one right here on top where the breather assembly is. We'll have to get a wrench for that. And get these 2 out of the way. Alright, so we'll go ahead and take this top bolt out. When I was a little kid, my family used to go to Wyoming every summer, and we'd camp kind of in the same campgrounds. And I've always, I'd say, kind of had a passion for tractors. Even when I was a little kid, I really liked tractors. And I distinctively remember every year going to Wyoming, going camping in the mountains. And at the base of the mountains where we camped, there was this little ice cream shop. And out front they had a Fordson Tractor. And every year I made sure to go in and get my ice cream cone and go sit outside and eat it on that Fordson Tractor. So I've always kind of had that childhood memory of doing that, and I've always kind of just known that I'd like to have a Fordson Tractor someday. So even though this one, like I said, is kind of a mixed match of parts, I'm still pretty excited to have it, and I think we can do some cool things with it, make it maybe look not so cobbled together. So. Alright, there's the air washer assembly off. We'll set it over here to the side. Put our breather cap back on. And I will put the 2 mounting bolts back in so we don't lose those. Now to me, it looks like I've got the steering drag link over here. And I've got this throttle rod over here on this side, and I think that's all it's going to take before we can split this tractor. Just remove those 2 pieces and get some jacks underneath it and get ready to split it. Oh, I do need to drain the oil. The bell housing is a wet clutch, or the clutch assembly is a wet clutch. Bell housing is full of oil, and it shares oil with the transmission. So that's all one common compartment, so we will have to drain the engine oil out. So let's work on popping this drag link. Well, let's work on pulling the throttle assembly off. We'll pop the drag link off, and then we'll drain the oil out of the bottom. So, throttle assembly over here is just held in with what's supposed to be a cotter pin. It's a piece of wire. So discard that. Pull that out, and we should be able to take that head bolt loose with this bracket on it here. And that'll allow us to remove that rod. Yeah, let's get a socket for that one. No sense in rounding bolts off this early. There we go. Now, when I had this engine running earlier this year, I've got a video of it on my YouTube channel, so you can go back through and find that, but it seemed to run pretty well, especially with as rotten as the gas tank was, and I'm sure as cruddy as the fuel going in the carb was. So I don't really foresee any reason to tear into this engine. The only thing I could see would be maybe pulling the oil pan and checking the bearings, but again, it didn't make any noise. Once I drain the oil, I'll kind of see how much sludge is in it there, but I may not worry too much about diving real deep into this one. This one may not be an actual restoration, but more of a paint job kind of tractor. Might take the easy way out on this one. Alright, slide that rod back out of the way. And now we're just left with the drag link. Alright, there's two bolts on the back here that hold this cap on this ball. These are castle nuts, supposed to have cotter pins in them, but they do not. So we'll take those loose real quick. Alright. Hopefully they don't fight us too bad. Yeah, they might put up a little bit of a fight. Yes, I know it's a chrome socket on an impact. But it works. You can't get it off. All right, there's one. Now this part of the drag link is threaded, so those castle nuts just act as a jam nut. Now, didn't have to take that bottom one all the way out, so we've got it loose. We should be able to turn the steering and drop it out of the way. All right, so now all we should have to do is drain the oil out. Let me get to working on that here, and I'll catch back up with you as soon as it's drained out. All right, we've got the oil drained out. I've got the engine hoist here. We're going to use this to lift up, be able to roll the front end away, Got a floor jack under the back. Taking all the bell housing bolts out except for the top two, so let's knock those two loose and see if we can get it split in half. And when I drained the oil out just now, I've seen a lot better oil come out of a tractor. So we may end up pulling the pan on this one too just to check, but I won't be doing a full motor disassembly on this one, I don't think. Alright, here's the last bolt. And I see some daylight forming between the two, so it looks like it is going to come apart. Alright, I'm going to come apart just. Alright, so there's the last two bolts. Let's see if we can kind of roll it apart. And I think I need to go up with both jacks. There's that one. There's the engine hoist. Let me go grab a pry bar here and see if I can pry it apart. Now I do have wedges under the front axle to keep the motor from tipping as it comes apart here. So let's pry here. Oh, there we go. Yep. You know what I forgot to take apart? The exhaust is going to have to come off. So let me see if I can get that to break loose somewhere to where we don't ruin anything. Alright, there's one coming loose. By golly, I think we're going to get lucky on this one. There's both coming loose. Huh. Front one's a bolt, the back one's a stud and a nut, so who'd have thunk it? Alright. Wiggle that free. There we go. Now we should be good to go. All right. Pry bar back in there. Good. I believe we are separated. Roll that away. There we go. Come apart a little farther. All right, show you guys a better look here at the inside. So the clutch, all the discs right on these little splines. As you can see there, they've all got little ridges. So those discs don't want to move off those ridges. So I have to clean those up. They just ride on those 6 square pegs there. And then here is the actual clutch assembly. Let me see if I can shine some light on there. There we go. So got kind of a little slinger there on the outside. Does look like we've got some surface rust. So, but this is all part of the engine oil system too. You can see all the oil. Like I said, the oil was not great that came out of it. Got a little sludge in there, so we're gonna have to do some cleaning on it there. But let's get you guys set back up and see if we can pull this clutch off. All right, let's get this front bearing off here. Should come off fairly easy. Yeah, it's moving. Oh. Try not to get the pry bars on the clutch discs there. Coming off pretty easy. Just tap it off. There we go. Alright, the bearing that is in that says made in England, R and M. One of the numbers is a B-7065. The other number is a 17C3T. So, further leads me to believe this is for sure in engine and transmission in this, with bearings made in England. And a nice clean spot to put this. And there's a snap ring right in here on these splines. Let me get you guys down here closer. Alright, there's a snap ring down in here. These are snap ring pliers. Try and get that out. Hopefully keep it from flying across the shop. Okay. There we go. Alright. As soon as we did that, the clutch pedal is already trying to push it out, so should be able to slide it right off. And right there is our clutch assembly. Alright, let me get a nice clean place to set this and we'll do some investigating on it. Now guys, I have never worked on a Fordson before. This is really the first time I've been in one. Don't have a lot of information on them. But this has a brass throwout plate here. It rocks. So all those surfaces seem to be fairly good. I might polish the clutch up a little bit there. It looks like it's maybe been wearing on that a little bit. So the pedal, when you push it down, maybe that's the brake, I'm not sure. When you push the clutch pedal down, that pushes that brass piece forward. I assume that's your throw out bearing there. All these splines appear to be in good condition here. Don't see any abnormal wear. That plays normal. The end of this shaft will be supported by the end of the flywheel on the engine. So really everything in here looks good. The belt pulley backlash seems pretty good. I really don't see anything abnormal in here, so I think we'll clean this compartment out here and probably go ahead and put it all back together. Alright guys, well, I think that maybe we conclude this episode. I'm going to have to get a good file here to try and get these ridges taken out of these square pegs. The clutch, I'm probably going to look and see what I need to do to try and free those discs up a little bit more. It works. I just got to see if there's something I can do to make them a little bit better. Also got a bunch of cleaning to do on housings. I probably will at least drop part of the oil pan, check for sludge, since there was a little bit of water in there. But get some tools, get a gasket made, get some cleaning done. Next episode we may try and slap this back together. So thank you everybody for tuning in, enjoying this one. Sorry it's not a update on the Alice Chalmers over here, but we'll get back on it. I promise we will. So right now we just got to get some other projects done and try and get some other things going through the shop here a little bit. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.